Part 7. After being expelled from the palace, she returned with her cub and amazed the whole city. Author, Hanggu. Chapter 61. Mother, Daddy will live with us from now on, and he will never be separated from us again. Are you happy? Sushui said with a happy smile on her face. It's not what you think. I have official business to attend to in the afternoon. Xiao Jingzhao looked at Zhang Shuyu's chilly eyes and explained quickly. He could feel that Zhang Shuyu was wary of him. His son was so cute. What he said was really deadly. Seeing that there was no joy on her mother's face, Sushui raised her head and looked at Xiao Jingzhao in confusion. Put me down. Mother, is he really my father? As soon as the short legs touched the ground, he rushed over and hugged his mother's legs. Xiao Jingzhao. Yes, he is your father. With her mother's approval, Sushui smiled brightly again. Master Sushui, I will accompany you to see the butterflies in the garden, Xiang Song said with great insight. Watching Xiang Song and Sui Sui walking away, Xiao Jingzhao looked up at Yaya Garden. You and Sui Sui stay here peacefully, I will try to find time to come and see you. As he said, after having lunch with Sui Sui, Xiao Jingzhao and the guards left in a hurry. The next day, Zhang Shuyu learned that the scholars of the academy could not leave the academy without permission, so she did not send the news of her move to the academy. Kaiju went to pick up Suhui. Even though Suhui had seen the prosperity of the capital, she was attracted by the carved beams and painted buildings, jade-paved red pillars and the scattered scenery in the villa. Lanner and Mayer brought in tea and cakes, and left respectfully after putting them down. Suhui looked at Zhang Shuyu. Mother is still worried that the maids here will not serve you wholeheartedly. It seems that mother is worrying too much. Zhang Shuyu smiled faintly. The customs here are open, and there are many divorced and remarried. The prince has never stayed here, and no one among the maids and old women gossips about her. She is a modern soul, even if everyone misunderstands that she is the prince's concubine, so what? She is busy like a top all day, and she has no time to care about how others view the relationship between Xiao Jingzhao and herself. Go to the clinic every morning and return to the villa at noon. In the afternoon, Kaiju and Lanner Mayer play with Sui Sui, and Zhang Shuyu closes the door and goes into the space to deal with medicinal materials. In the midst of her busy schedule, she also takes time to teach Sui Sui to identify medicinal materials. Zhang Shuyu learned that the refugees had been settled and no food needed to be sent over, and the potatoes in the space were piled into a small mountain. After harvesting potatoes, she planted corn all over the land. She had heard from an old farmer that a long drought would inevitably lead to floods, and a long flood would inevitably lead to droughts. She should prepare for a rainy day, and the more food the better. If it didn't happen, she could open a grain store in the capital. After finishing the space affairs, she also took time to practice riding horses. The palace. Xiao Jingzhao went to the east courtyard after returning from the military camp. The external injuries of King Yan'an had almost healed. Seeing his son coming back, he pointed to the study. Xiao Jingzhao understood that some things could not be discussed in front of his mother. How is the training in the military camp? King Yan'an asked impatiently as soon as he entered the study. Everything went well. General Zhan arranged all the veterans to lead the new soldiers, and the results were remarkable. The imperial edict from the capital asked for silver again, King Yan'an said as he took out the bright yellow imperial edict from the drawer. Xiao Jingzhao glanced at the desk, but did not reach out for the imperial edict. Father, don't pay attention to him. If he keeps making trouble, it won't take long before the court will lose its morale. That will be the best time for us to go to Beijing. The father and son discussed for another hour before leaving the study. Xiao Jingzhao left the east courtyard and just walked to the corridor next to the garden when he heard his mother's call behind him. Zhao, please stay. Mother. Xiao Jingzhao turned around and saluted. Zhao, tell me what kind of woman you like. Mother is going to hold a banquet and invite the noble ladies of Liang and the officials' daughters of various counties in Yan'an to the banquet. You and your elder brother should take the opportunity to see each other. Looking up and seeing his mother's eyes full of expectation, Xiao Jingzhao said gently, "Brother, you have recovered. Mother will take care of you first. I am not in a hurry." "Have you discussed this with your elder brother? Why do you say the same thing?" Princess Yan'an held her forehead, as if the pearl hairpin on her head made her neck hurt. Xiao Jingzhao also had a headache. How should he tell his mother about Sui Sui's existence? Suddenly, he had an idea. "Mother, a good friend of my son has encountered a difficult problem. Can you help my friend with an idea?" "What is it? Do you need your help?" The moment before, Princess Yan'an was still worried about her son. When she heard that her son wanted to ask her, she immediately became alert. Xiao Jingzhao coughed lightly and pretended to be calm and said, "It's not a big deal. It's just that my friend accidentally had sex with a woman a few years ago. He just found out that the woman gave birth to his child alone. Is it Lin Xiangji? He is worse than a beast. I said that the child is unreliable. He looks like a human being and attracts bees and butterflies everywhere. Your father even thought of promising your elder sister to him. Zhao the girl from a bad family is innocent and so irresponsible. Such a thing is unacceptable." Listening to the mother's endless chatter, Xiao Jingzhao's forehead was throbbing. He had made a friend out of nothing. If his mother knew it was him, she would probably chase him and beat him. "Mother, it's not Xiangji. He went out to travel with his uncle's caravan years ago and hasn't come back yet." Lin Xiangji's father, Lin Suan, was the county magistrate of Liang City in southern Yan. Lin Xiangji's uncle was the richest man in Liang. He had several caravans and traveled between neighboring countries all year round. Xiao Jingzhao and him were classmates. They were as close as brothers and talked about everything. No wonder Princess Yan'an thought of him first. Seeing his mother and concubine's eyes full of confusion, Xiao Jingzhao added, "They are classmates and friends, and my mother and concubine have never met him before." Princess Yan'an breathed a sigh of relief when she heard that it was not Lin Xianzi. After all, the child was handsome, and she felt that it was not impossible for him to be her son-in-law. "It turns out we are classmates. It's simple. Just ask your classmates to prepare the betrothal gift and marry the person back home. It will be a double happiness, and everyone will be happy." Xiao Jingzhao saw that his mother-in-law spoke with ease, and hurriedly asked, "That girl is unique and different from ordinary girls. My classmates mentioned that I should be responsible, but the girl doesn't seem to be happy. Is there such a girl?" Princess Yan'an was stunned. It turns out there are still girls who don't want to get married. The mother-in-law has no choice. We can't force others to do anything. But that child is very cute. My classmate likes it very much, but we can't let him be separated from his mother. Then just let your classmate get married." Princess Yan'an raised her eyebrows, convinced that her idea was impeccable. Xiao Jingzhao. Fortunately, he was just making an innuendo, otherwise, the consequences would be disastrous. The mother-in-law has longed to hold her grandson in her arms. If she knew about Sushui's existence, for the sake of her eldest grandson, she would not be allowed to send him to Jishi Hall with her own hands. A few days later, an official came to the academy. "Brother Su, come with me to the front hall." The mountain chief was in a very uneasy mood, wondering why the official asked Su Huiran by name. After being expelled from the palace, she returned with her cub and amazed the whole city. Author, Hanggu. Chapter 62. Su Huiran saw the headmaster's expression and knew that he was worried about him. "Don't worry, headmaster. We are upright and have nothing to fear." Su Huiran straightened his chest and strode towards the front hall with a righteous spirit. It turned out that the official brought him a letter of appointment, Liang City Chief, responsible for documents and seals. Although he was only a 9th rank official, Su Huiren was very excited. He finally entered the official career again. Dad, tell Yor the good news quickly. Su Huiren looked up at the sky. Yor has gone home by now, it won't be too late to tell her tomorrow. The headmaster congratulated him, and the two drank a few cups before going home. When he just got home, Aunt Su pulled him to tell him that Sui Sui's father was the prince. Su Huiren looked at the letter of appointment in his hand, and his heart was mixed. It turned out that he could enter the official career again because of Yor. That night, a group of men in black appeared outside the palace again. After a fierce fight, 2 men in black fled. Don't chase a desperate enemy. Xiao Jingzhao, who came upon hearing the news, raised his hand to stop the secret guards who were chasing them. Master, the 2 were injured, and they can't run far. The leader, Enyi, bowed and reported. It's better to leave a messenger in the capital to avoid repeated sneak attacks. The secret guards dealt with the bodies on the ground, and Xiao Jingzhao led Xiang Song and Xiang Yang to the villa. In front of the window, Zhang Shuyu rolled up her sleeves, revealing her white jade-like wrists, her black hair tied behind her head with a hairpin, and her face without a veil was so charming that people would fall in love with her at a glance. She was seen moving the paper with the name of the medicine on the desk, and every time she moved it, she lowered her head and said something to her son. The 3 of them had sharp hearing, and Xiao Jingzhao narrowed his eyes slightly. This woman, why didn't she teach her son good medical skills, but taught him to make poison? After standing in the distance for a while, Xiao Jingzhao turned around and left. Master, are we not going in? No need to go in and disturb them. Let someone protect this place and don't let people in the capital find out. Xiao Jingzhao reluctantly withdrew his gaze. Back at the palace, Xiao Jingzhao told Xiang Song, send the teacher I asked you to find to the garden tomorrow. Sushui is very smart and can be enlightened earlier. Master, I think it's better to bring Sushui back to the palace and let the young master teach him personally than to ask the teacher to go there. Xiao Jingzhao certainly understood that Xiang Song's suggestion was correct. His elder brother was well read and had great literary talent. He was the best person to teach his son. Xiang Yang slapped his forehead and said, Master, why don't you let Sui Sui enter Linjiang Academy? Xiang Song glared at him sideways. The youngest child in Linjiang Academy is 6 years old, and the young master is less than 5 years old. This is not appropriate. Xiao Jingzhao originally planned to let Sui Sui enter Linjiang Academy, but the woman said she was going back to the capital, so he had to give up the idea. The next day, just as Zhang Shuyu was about to go out, Xiang Song sent a gentleman in his 50s over. Guard Xiang, please tell your master a message. I have my own arrangements for Sui Sui's studies, so he won't have to worry about it. Being decisively rejected by Zhang Shuyu, Xiang Song had to leave with people. Just as Xiang Song was sent away, Su Dong came. Miss, there was a thief in the clinic last night, and Dad has reported it to the authorities. Su Dong wiped the sweat from his forehead and said anxiously. This morning, he and his father went to the clinic, opened the door, and the medicinal materials were scattered all over the floor, and the clinic was in a mess. Su Dong's father asked him to keep an eye on the scene, and he went to the government office to report to the authorities. The government had not yet sent anyone, so Su Dong's father came back from the government office and asked Su Dong to inform Zhang Shuyu. Don't worry, there are only medicinal materials in the clinic, and the loss will not be too great, Zhang Shuyu said calmly. Medicine is not cheap. Su Dong looked painful. Although the daily consultation fee was not left in the clinic, there were still many valuable medicinal materials in the clinic. Qiuju and Sui Sui stayed in the villa, and Zhang Shuyu followed Su Dong to the clinic. A group of people surrounded the clinic. Someone said, the thief came last night in a strange way, and stole 3 clinics in a row. Zhang Shuyu pushed through the crowd and walked into the house, only to see several yamen runners checking the lost items. Su Dong's father bowed his head and counted the lost medicinal materials on the counter. Sir, both bottles of gold wound medicine are gone. Boss, not much was lost, but the house was too messy. Seeing Zhang Shiyu enter the house, Su Bo said with lingering fear. Miss Zhang. A familiar voice sounded behind her. Zhang Shiyu turned around and saw Xiang Yang bowing to her. Xiao Jingzhao was sitting calmly in the position where she usually saw patients. Have you seen Xiang Song? Yes, thank you for your kindness, the prince. This thief is thinking about the clinic. It seems that this clinic can't be opened anymore. Zhang Shiyu's words were very clear. She and her mother were leaving. Looking at Zhang Shiyu's calmness, she didn't look scared at all. The thief last night was undoubtedly the escaped assassin. The Yamen runner reported to Xiao Jingzhao and left. Su Bo was busy picking up the spilled herbs on the ground. Su Dong heard the conversation between Zhang Shiyu and Xiao Jingzhao clearly. Su Dong came to Zhang Shiyu's side. Miss, don't worry, the clinic can still be run. I will stay in the backyard of the clinic tonight. Zhang Shiyu nodded. This clinic has a kitchen and other things in the backyard, and your family of 3 can live there. Zhang Shiyu took out the lease contract from her sleeve and handed it to Su Dong. This clinic is given to you to manage. It has only been open for more than a month. With Su Bo's medical skills, Jishitang will definitely be able to operate. Su Dong was stunned. Miss, what are you doing? Zhang Shiyu put the contract into Su Dong's hand. Take it, you can also make the recipe for slimming tea, and your family of 3 will definitely live better and better. Xiao Jingzhao looked at the bright and charming woman in front of him and said to the boy with a pleasant face, and her tone was as warm as spring breeze. He suddenly envied the boy. After hearing this, Su Bo quickly put down his work and walked over. Boss, this is not allowed. If the boss has something to take care of, my father and I can help the boss to manage the clinic and send the profits to the boss every month. Uncle Su, I didn't plan to stay in Luoyang for a long time, so you can accept it with peace of mind. Zhang Shiyu was firm. Miss Zhang is busy first, see you in the other garden later. Xiao Jingzhao got up and walked out after saying a word. Zhang Shiyu. Leaving now? Su Dong and his son were grateful to Zhang Shiyu. If she hadn't left the clinic quickly, Su Dong would have knelt down and kowtowed. On the way here, Su Dong had told her about Uncle Su getting a 9th rank official position. As soon as she entered the courtyard, Aunt Su and Su Hui came up to greet her with smiles on their faces. Congratulations, Aunt, isn't Uncle at home? Aunt Su smiled so hard that her teeth were showing. She didn't know that the clinic had been robbed. The old man was so happy that he didn't sleep well all night. He went to the government office to take up his position early this morning. Aunt Hui, I gave the clinic to Uncle Su. I will go back to the capital in a few days. When I finish my work in the capital, I will come to Luoyang to see you. Zhang Shiyu was still busy going back to the villa, so she said bluntly. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After being expelled from the palace, she returned with her cub and amazed the whole city. Author, Hanggu. Chapter 63. Aunt Su held Zhang Shiyu's hand, tears in her eyes, and knew this day would come, but it's too soon. Sister, if you go back to the capital, what will the Zhang family do if they embarrass you again? Su Hui's eyes were full of reluctance and worry. Ah Hui, don't worry. Since I have decided to go back to the capital, I am fully prepared. Besides, I won't enter the Zhang family, what can they do to me? Since you have decided, Aunt Su won't say anything more. Stay here for lunch this afternoon. It's your farewell. Sujin and Sunan were in the academy, and her husband went to the government office again. No one at home saw Zhang Shiyu off, and Aunt Su felt bad. She had no choice but to cook a sumptuous meal to say farewell. There are still things to do in the villa. I have to go back quickly. And Su won't be busy anymore. Zhang Shuyu said that they would meet again soon. And Su and her daughter knew that Zhang Shuyu never lied, so they called Su Dong's mother, and the three of them sent Zhang Shuyu out of the alley. After bidding farewell to several people, Zhang Shuyu called a carriage and rushed to the villa. In the villa, Xiao Jingzhao and Su Shui sat at the desk. Su Shui put several pieces of paper on the desk together. "Dad, look, this is the recipe for soft tendon powder." Then his little hand searched through a stack of papers, and 8 prescriptions were arranged on the desk again. "Dad, this is 5 steps to fall down, Mother said it might take 7 steps to fall down, Su Shui is sure to adjust it to 3 steps to fall down." "Son, you should read 3-character classic at your age, it's not too late to learn these later." Xiao Jingzhao held his forehead. Since he entered the room, his son pulled him into the room to see the results of his new learning. "Dad, what's so good about 3-character classic?" Su Shui can recite it backwards, and has also read Yuxiuqianglan and Zhengguangxianwen. "Mother asked me to learn some medical skills in case of emergency." Su Shui raised his head, pouted his little mouth, and his eyes were full of grievances. "I thought my father would praise him, but I didn't expect him to question me." Xiao Jingzhao's lips twitched. "Is this medical skill? This is definitely a poison recipe." Su Shui saw his father's indescribable expression, as if he saw through his mind. "Mother said I'm still young and can't beat bad guys, so I should learn some self-defense skills first." Xiao Jingzhao suddenly realized that he had underestimated that woman. It must be said that Zhang Shuyu is thoughtful and has a perspective on things that is not comparable to ordinary women. At this moment, Xiao Jingzhao's curiosity was completely aroused. What kind of woman is she? Hearing the sound of footsteps outside, he turned his head and looked at the door expectantly. The bead curtain rang with a crisp sound, and 2 maids came in with tea and fruits. The maid bowed and put down the tea and fruits. Xiao Jingzhao frowned. "Why didn't you prepare cakes for the young master?" Mayor bowed and replied quickly, reporting to the prince, "The lady said that the cakes are too sweet, and the young master should not eat too much." "Daddy, Mother said that fruits are rich in vitamins, eating them is good for the body, and eating too much cakes is bad for the teeth." Xiao Jingzhao was confused. How could he not know what vitamins are? Sui Sui picked up a green fruit and put it in Xiao Jingzhao's hand, saying softly, "It's sour and sweet, it's delicious, Daddy will eat it too." Xiao Jingzhao. This son, is too filial. Not far from the window, Xiang Song and Xiang Yang watched their master put the green fruit into his mouth, crunch crunch a few times, and ate it without frowning. Xiang Yang nudged Xiang Song with his elbow. "Look, our prince has changed. He never liked to eat this before, but today he finished it in a few bites." "You know nothing. The green fruit is a gift from the young master, so the master will naturally feel sweet when eating it." Xiang Yang was shut up by Xiang Song again. He secretly complained in his heart, "You know nothing. Green fruit is green fruit. No matter who gives it, it tastes sour." Thinking of the sour taste of green fruit, Xiang Yang couldn't help swallowing his saliva. Suddenly, a sound of breaking through the air sounded, and several green fruits flew towards him. Xiang Yang hurriedly dodged slightly, waved his arm, and held several green fruits in his palm. "Master!" Xiao Jingzhao had a playful smile on his face, holding a green fruit and making an eating gesture. It goes without saying that the master ate the sour fruit himself and asked them to eat it together. This reward cannot be refused. "Eat. The master is so kind to us that he will give us a share of the good and the bad," Xiang Song said, but his hands were honestly folded in front of his chest, with no intention of helping to share. Xiang Yang spread his palms and looked at the 3 green fruits that were so green that they made people feel sour. "Good brothers share the blessing, do you want one too?" Xiang Yang smiled with a flattering face, but Xiang Song did not appreciate it. He glanced at him and said, That is a reward from the master. I won't eat it. I haven't digested the 5 steamed buns I ate this morning. Xiangyang secretly glanced into the window and saw the prince holding the tea and sipping it slowly, looking at the young master Sui Sui chewing the green fruit with his eyes full of pampering. Xiangyang gritted his teeth and stuffed a whole green fruit into his mouth. Zhang Shuyu returned to the villa and entered the house to meet Xiao Jingzhao's soul-stirring phoenix eyes. There was a bit of inquiry in his eyes, and a bit of burning. Zhang Shuyu quickly looked away and asked directly, "Do you know who went to the clinic to steal the golden medicine last night?" Xiao Jingzhao did not deny it either, thinking that this woman was really a smart woman and nothing could be hidden from her. Lei Yang has been in turmoil recently, and I guess the capital is not much better. Have you ever thought about how dangerous it is for a woman to go out with her son? After speaking, he touched his son's little head and said in a consultative tone, "If you really have a reason to return to the capital, can you keep Sushui? I can take good care of him." "No." Zhang Shuyu decisively refused. "Mom, can you please bring Dad back to the capital?" Xiao Jingzhao. Zhang Shuyu. "Son, go play with Aunt Chuju." Before Sushui could wait for her mother's answer, she was lifted and put outside the door. After closing the door, Zhang Shuyu walked over. The 2 people outside the window were particularly interesting this time, and they coincidentally disappeared under the big tree outside the window. "Prince Xiao, you are the one who wants to do great things, but I just want to avenge myself with hatred, repay kindness with kindness, and live an ordinary life with each passing year." King Gli's voice was tepid, and Xiao Jingzhao felt like a transparent person in front of her. Xiao Jingzhao raised his eyebrows slightly. "Ordinary life? You are too extravagant. If the current situation continues, you will be forcibly recruited into the military camp by that foolish king before the age of 15. Xiao Jingzhao was afraid of scaring the little woman in front of him, so he only picked up the smallest danger. Zhang Shuyu was excited. Yes, there are intact eggs under the overturned nest. How could she forget this? The Wanling Kingdom is currently suffering from internal worries, and foreign invasion will happen sooner or later. Seeing the bright and charming eyebrows darkening, Xiao Jingzhao's voice softened a bit. "As long as you and your son are by my side, I will be able to protect you and your son." "Prince Xiao, do you want us to cooperate?" Zhang Shuyu raised her eyes and looked directly into Xiao Jingzhao's cold eyes. After being expelled from the palace, she returned with her cub and amazed the whole city. Author, Hanggu. Chapter 64. In order for her son to live a peaceful life, Zhang Shuyu also planned to risk everything. A wave of confusion flashed across Xiao Jingzhao's eyes. Is she caring about herself? We have been together for many years, so talking about cooperation is too far-fetched. That's all. I'll send 2 secret guards dressed as coachmen to escort you and your son to the capital. Xiao Jingzhao secretly thought. Thank God that you 2 are safe. His great cause does not need to be sacrificed at the expense of women. Zhang Shuyu walked to the armchair opposite Xiao Jingzhao and sat down, taking off her veil slowly. It seems that the crown prince doesn't trust me anymore. The veil slipped, revealing her beautiful face. Her pink and white face looked like a hibiscus, and her slight smile was really beautiful. The scarlet beauty mark between her eyebrows seemed to be so scorching that Xiao Jingzhao's heartbeat skipped a beat. Even if you train tens of thousands of refugees into elite soldiers, you can successfully enter the capital and attack the palace. Are you sure that the major forces in the capital can sincerely support you? Xiao Jingzhao looked at the woman in front of him and talked eloquently. She was obviously a beautiful girl, but her intelligent eyes were like a scheming aide. Tell me, how can I get their support? After Xiao Jingzhao said this, he realized what a childish question he had asked. Zhang Shuyu showed a bright smile, her red lips parted lightly. The 4 major families in the capital have gone through hundreds of years and served several emperors. They are big trees with deep roots and considerable influence. They cannot be underestimated. Wei, Wu, Du, Zhen, these four major families are people who will tremble in the capital every time they stamp their feet. The interests of these four major families are tied together. They seem to be allies, but in fact there are times when they are at odds with each other secretly. If you want to take advantage of these four major families, you have to find their weaknesses and dismantle them one by one. Xiao Jingzhao also knew that these big families not only tied up their interests, but also entered into marriages to consolidate their relationships. He leaned back in the armchair with interest. Tell me how to make them fall apart. Zhang Shiyu looked directly at Xiao Jingzhao without dodge. Let's talk about the Wei family and the Wu family. One is the natal family of Empress Wei, and the other is the natal family of Empress Dowager Wu. The Empress Dowager always takes precedence over the Empress in everything. Is there no resentment in the Wei family? Seeing Xiao Jingzhao nodding, Zhang Shiyu continued, there is also the Du family. Speaking of the minister of Dali Temple, he can be regarded as a very popular minister. It can be seen that the Wei and Wu families, even if they are concubines from these two families, he has to take care of them. Tales make people. Xiao Jingzhao took over the conversation and said, Master Zhen is considered a clean figure among the four major families. When the Qingling Mountain people left the capital, he also resigned and lived a life of writing, wandering around in the clouds and wild cranes. Zhang Shiyu shook her head gently, no, what you see is only the superficial phenomenon. When he was young, the real great scholar was known as the saint of poetry. He had countless disciples, and even half of the people in the Hanlin Academy were his pride. Disciple. Scholars are good at criticizing with words and writing. If he stands up and shouts, he can be worth thousands of troops on the battlefield. Xiao Jingzhao's eyes lit up after hearing Zhang Shiyu's words. The woman in front of him had a unique vision and sharp insights, and he couldn't help but admire him. Zhang Shiyu raised her hand and tucked a strand of black hair scattered on her cheek behind her ear. Yun Danfan said calmly, it seems that the real great scholar is idle at home, but in fact, there are many talented people all over the world. Is it possible that all his disciples can be proud? There are so many people who are full of ambition but fail to achieve it. Besides, the Wei and Wu families have tried to marry into the Zhen family several times, but they have all been tactfully declined by the Zhen family. The original owner had lived in the capital for so many years, so he naturally knew the details of those big families. Zhang Shiyu paused, with a confident smile on her face, if you want to disintegrate these four major families, I can do it. If Zhang Shiyu said she could do it as soon as she opened her mouth, Xiao Jingzhao would never believe it. After listening to her explanation, he believed her from the bottom of his heart. This woman is extraordinary, she is worthy of being his son's mother. If it hadn't been for the false news of her death by Shangshu Mansion, he would have married her back in a glorious way, and their relationship would not be like it is now, hard to describe. As soon as this idea came up, Xiao Jingzhao himself didn't notice the change in his heart. Xiao Jingzhao pressed his slender hands on the armrests of the armchair, straightened up and leaned back in the armchair, looking a bit lazy. I accept your proposal. Let's cooperate. If you have any requests, just ask. Zhang Shiyu is not a nagging person either, time is tight and I'm afraid I won't be able to wait until my friend comes back. I have something I need your help with. She stood up and walked to Duobao Pavilion with her back to Xiao Jingzhao. With a thought, 3 palm-sized stones appeared in front of her. She took the stone and put it on the desk. Please help me take this jade blank to Baiuxuan and sell it. Xiao Jingzhao. Is this woman short of money? I'll ask Xiang Song to bring you a banknote right away. You'd better keep this jade piece for Sushui to play with. Xiao Jingzhao secretly thought. This woman is so smart, shouldn't it be time to mention how much of the pie she can get when King Yannan dominates the country in the future? Such a good opportunity, but she only had to run errands for him. This is a stone I picked up every year. I have already sold one piece. There is no use keeping it. It is better to sell it and go back to the capital to make a living. Xiao Jingzhao. Was he declined by her? Seeing Xiao Jingzhao's hesitation, she said, if you don't make a living, how can you have the opportunity to contact those people? They are officials on the surface, but secretly, they have a lot of work at home. Xiao Jingzhao picked up a stone and looked at the sunshine outside the window. My son is really extraordinary. He picked up all the jade blanks. He put down the stone, put his index finger on his lips, a whistle sounded, and two figures flew over quickly. Master, please tell me if I have anything to say. Take this jade blank to Byaoxuan to sell it, and make sure to negotiate the highest price. Xiangyang reached out through the window to pick up the stone, muttering, it's up to you to decide the price, and you're still negotiating. Feeling the cold eyes flying over, Xiangyang realized that he had spoken out of turn. He quickly changed his words and said, speaking of the prince's name, how can Byaoxuan dare to lower the price? Shut up. Get lost. Xiao Jingzhao and Xiang Song scolded almost at the same time. Zhang Shuyu frowned slightly, with a trace of displeasure in her eyes. The price of jade is based on its quality. How can you force someone to pay the highest price? What's the difference between this and robbery? Xiao Jingzhao knew that Zhang Shuyu had misunderstood, and hurriedly explained, don't listen to his nonsense, that's not what I meant. The Yan'an Palace has never had a precedent of bullying the people. Xiangyang and Xiang Song left the villa. Xiang Song looked back with lingering fear, then turned around and glared at Xiangyang fiercely, do you know what you just said? Miss Zhang will think that the master is a bully. You are going to destroy the master's image in Miss Jiang's heart. Xiangyang scratched the back of his head and wondered, is the master afraid of Miss Jiang? After being expelled from the palace, she returned with her cub and amazed the whole city. Author, Hangu. Chapter 65. Xiang Song almost laughed at this fool. Xiang Song bit his back teeth and said, Miss Jiang is the mother of Master Sui Sui. What do you think Miss Jiang will be in the future? Is the relationship between the master and Miss Jiang a relationship of who is afraid of whom? Use your pig brain. Xiangyang was even more confused, are you saying that the master will marry Miss Jiang in the future? What do you think? Then why didn't the master tell Miss Jiang that he was the owner of Byaoxuan? Xiang Song. So this is what the master meant by summer insects cannot talk about ice, and well frogs cannot talk about the sea. The two came to Byaoxuan. The shopkeeper saw the boss's confidant coming to sell jade, and said with a confused face, did the boss say how much silver notes are appropriate? This jade belongs to the master's best friend. You can do whatever you want. Shopkeeper Xiang Song knew that Byaoxuan had a separate account office, and he didn't want to embarrass the shopkeeper too much. Xiangyang said bluntly, the master said to estimate the price as high as possible. There are not many people who come to Byaoxuan to sell jade blanks, and the shopkeeper's eyes lit up, are the boss's best friends a man and a woman, and the woman has a beauty mole between her eyebrows. Do you know them? Xiang Song and Xiangyang looked at each other and asked at the same time. The shopkeeper recounted the scene of receiving jade not long ago. Xiang Song nodded, yes, that girl is the master's best friend. The shopkeeper smiled and said, okay, the jade the girl brought is of excellent quality. Today, I don't need to open the jade, just give the highest price. The shopkeeper said this not only because of the boss's face, but he had already seen the raw stone and was 80% sure that there was jade inside. Then he asked the servant to bring a scale, weighed the jade blank, calculated the bill, and took out the silver bills to count twice. Xiang Song smacked his lips, a full 200,000 taels, this stone is too valuable. In the garden, Xiao Jingzhao was not in a hurry to leave, but talked with Zhang Shuyu about the people and things in the capital. Thank you, Prince, for taking care of Uncle Su. We have the same goal. The father and son of the Su family value friendship and are people of high moral character. Prince, you may as well use them. Zhang Shuyu bowed to Xiao Jingzhao and recommended him without hesitation. Su Huiran is a Jinchi. They have taken care of you and your son. I will definitely repay this favor. Xiao Jingzhao moved his eyes away from the graceful figure and took another sip of tea. Xiao Jingzhao didn't know what happened to him today. His throat was particularly dry. Perhaps it was because of the hot weather in summer. Zhang Shuyu saw him drink a pot of tea and thought, could it be that Sui Sui's father has diabetes? Seeing his broad shoulders and narrow waist, strong body and bright eyes without any sign of illness, she resisted the urge to take Xiao Jingzhao's pulse. Just when she was about to ask Kyoja to add more tea, Xiang Song and Xiang Yang came back. Xiang Song put the bundle on the desk with both hands and bowed, Master, Miss Zhang, here are exactly 200,000 taels of silver notes. Did the shopkeeper estimate the price? Zhang Shuyu was stunned. If they wanted to open the stone to test the jade, they would have to wait until the afternoon. The two of them had been out for less than half an hour. It was obvious that the shopkeeper had gambled. Seeing Zhang Shuyu looking at him with an ambiguous look, Xiao Jingzhao said, the shopkeeper of Baiuxuan is not an ordinary person. His father and mother were people who dealt with jade. He was influenced by it since he was a child and naturally had rich experience. Xiang Yang hurriedly added a knife, nodding like a chicken pecking at rice, yes, yes, yes. We definitely didn't use the title of the prince to pressure others. The shopkeeper estimated the price himself. Really? Zhang Shuyu expressed disbelief. She always felt that the expressions of the three people were strange. Really not? Xian Jiang's eyes flickered. Xiao Jingzhao glanced at Xiang Yang sinisterly, you go back to the palace and take care of the horses. Miss Zhang will leave soon. Xiang Yang accepted the order with a sad face. Xiang Song. It's what he deserves. He was finally put in the stable. Pick 2 secret guards with strong martial arts skills and let them dress up as servants to escort Miss Zhang and Sushui back to the capital. Xiang Song also accepted the order and left. Seeing Zhang Shuyu looking at him, Xiao Jingzhao said again, are you good at using the 2 maids serving in the courtyard? Not bad, the 2 girls are quite smart. Zhang Shuyu told the truth. The 2 girls are also very attentive to Sushui. Every day they go to the kitchen and ask the cook to cook the dishes that Sushui likes to eat. Xiao Jingzhao stood up, I will ask Xiang Song to send you their indentures. They are rootless orphans, so you can use them without worry. The pearl curtain sounded, and the tall figure walked out. Zhang Shuyu watched the tall figure walk away. She quickly put the banknotes into the space, then changed into a plain dress, let down her hair, and tied her black hair behind her head with a white jade hairpin. Before she left the inner room, she heard Sui Sui's chuckle in the courtyard. At this time, Qiuju came in with tea. Miss, you must be thirsty. The prince was in the room just now, and I didn't dare to go in. Zhang Shuyu nodded, a little thirsty. She took the tea from Qiuju and took a sip. The temperature was just right, and she drank it all in one gulp. Zhang Shuyu put down the teacup and asked, is he gone? Qiuju quickly poured another cup for the young lady and said, no, he is playing with Sui Sui in the yard. Zhang Shuyu. No wonder Sui Sui laughed so happily. Unable to suppress her curiosity, she walked to the door and looked out. I saw Sui Sui sitting on the swing, holding the rope tightly with both hands. Xiao Jingzhao swung Sui Sui like a ball, more than 1 person high. The little guy was not only not afraid, but also very happy. Just as Zhang Shuyu drew her head back, Xiao Jingzhao said calmly, why don't you come out and play with your son? Zhang Shuyu. Does this guy have eyes on the back of his head? Zhang Shuyu had no choice but to walk over after being called. Zhang Shuyu, who was dressed in a crescent-colored plain dress, looked like a fairy descending from the earth. Her shoulders were as sharp as a knife and her waist was as thin as a rope. It was hard to tell that she was already the mother of a nearly 4-year-old child. She stopped 5 steps away from the swing. Xiao Jingzhao held the swing with his left hand and grabbed the soft and cute Sui Sui with his right hand. Mom, Daddy swings the swing very high. Do you want to try it? It's good that Sui Sui likes it. Mom is afraid of heights and I will feel dizzy. My dear son, don't embarrass your mother if she is afraid of heights. People who are afraid of heights will not only feel dizzy, but also have weak legs. Xiao Jingzhao pinched his son's little face with his slender fingers, and a smile spread in his eyes. Zhang Shiyu secretly complained in her heart, Your legs are weak, your whole body is weak. Her fear of heights refers to the time in her previous life when she stood on the 20th floor and looked down. Except for the watchtower at the gate of Luoyang City, there are really no higher buildings in other places. Sushui wanted to pester her mother to sit on the seesaw again, and Kyoju happened to come over to invite everyone to have lunch, which resolved the awkward situation. There were prawns that Sushui liked to eat on the table. Kyoju helped to peel the prawns. Xiao Jingzhao picked up a peeled prawn from the plate and put it on the plate in front of Zhang Shiyu. When are you going to leave? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After being expelled from the palace, she returned with her cub and amazed the whole city. Author, Hanggu. Chapter 66. I'll pack it up tomorrow and we can set off the day after tomorrow. Dad, you eat shrimp too. Sushui picked up a peeled shrimp and put it into Xiao Jingzhao's bowl. A warm current surged in Xiao Jingzhao's heart. This was the feeling of having a son. Xiao Jingzhao praised Sui Sui without hesitation, then looked at Zhang Shiyu and said, You have taught your son well. Tomorrow I will ask the restaurant to send a table of food and wine to celebrate Sui Sui's birthday in advance, and it will also be considered as a farewell to you. After being reminded by Xiao Jingzhao, Zhang Shiyu remembered that Sushui's birthday would be in more than 10 days. There had been so many things going on recently that she had neglected her son. I asked Xiang Song to go to the academy to bring the Su brothers over. Thank you. I just wanted to say goodbye to Ajin and Nan Nan. The family of 3, although they didn't talk much, had a pleasant meal. On the second day, Xiang Song was the first to deliver the deeds of Lanner and Mei-er, along with 2 tall men. Zhang Shiyu hesitated for a moment and decided to ask the 2 girls what they meant. Miss, I am willing to follow you wherever you go. Lanner happily expressed her loyalty when she learned that the prince had handed over the deed to Zhang Shiyu. Mei-er also quickly saluted and said, This slave is also willing to follow the young lady and serve the young master Sui Sui. Zhang Shiyu nodded, You 2 go pack up and set off together tomorrow. Lanner and Mei-er bowed and left. Zhang Shiyu looked at the 2 men in front of her. Since the 2 of them were often active at night, their skin was slightly whiter. Zhang Shiyu knew that Xiao Jingzhao had a secret guard camp, and she had no intention of using them. See the new master. With a pop sound, both of them knelt down. You. The prince said that from now on, the 2 of us are the girl's people. For the girl and the young master, I will go through fire and water without hesitation. Zhang Shiyu was shocked by what the 2 said. She originally planned to let the 2 of them return when they arrived in the capital. Miss Zhang, please accept them. The prince said that if a servant does not serve 2 masters, the girl can rest assured if she uses them. Xiang Song said and took out 2 more deeds of prostitution. Zhang Shiyu took over the deed of sale, and the writing on it still smelled of ink. Stand up and speak. Which one of you is Gao Mu? The man on the left stood up. My subordinate is Gao Mu. My subordinate is Kang Yun. Master can also give the villain a name. Kang Yun stood up and cupped his hands. Since you all have your own names, there is no need to change them. From now on, you are no longer secret guards, but guards who protect everyone's safety. After Zhang Shiyu finished speaking, she tore up the rendition contract in her hand. Master! Girl! Gao Mu, Kan Yun, and Xiang Song couldn't help shouting. The corners of Zhang Shiyu's lips curled up slightly, and she smiled slightly. Your names were just given by the prince, right? Gao Mu and Kan Yun lowered their hands and bowed their heads. Xiang Song explained, the secret guards have no names, only numbers. The prince also wants to. No need to explain, I understand. From now on, Gao Mu and Kan Yun no longer need to abide by the rules of the secret guards. From now on, you two can get married and have children every 12 months. In Wanling Kingdom, secret guards are not allowed to get married, and they cannot have weaknesses. Thank you, Master. Gao Mu and Kan Yun cupped their hands in thanks. You guys also go and get ready. We'll set off tomorrow morning. Girl, you are busy first. I will go to the academy to pick up Mr. Su. Xiang Sanji cupped his hands, took a few steps back, and walked quickly out of the courtyard gate. The courtyard returned to tranquility. Qiuju looked at Zhang Shiyu with admiration. Miss, why don't you leave the body bond between Gao Mu and Kan Yun? With the body bond, isn't it more trustworthy? Do you think secret guards are the same as domestic servants? As far as I know, secret guards need to undergo special training. What makes them follow you wholeheartedly is not a contract of betrayal, but their loyalty to follow. Just like the soldiers in the military camp, they will not hesitate to protect their masters with their lives when they identify the people they will follow. Zhang Shiyu did not say that there were despicable masters who used poison to control secret guards. She believed that Xiao Jingzhao was not that kind of person. Qiuju came to her senses and said, young lady is right. With their skills, it is very easy to break away from the master. At noon, Lanner held up her skirt and trotted all the way to Yao Yuiwen. Miss, go to the front hall quickly, the two Mr. Su are already here. When Zhang Shiyu and Qiuju came to the front hall, they saw Sunan holding Sushui in her arms and asking questions. Sujin sat beside Xiao Jingzhao, answering the prince's questions in a neither humble nor overbearing manner. Seeing Zhang Shiyu enter the room, they both stood up and shouted, Sister! Sujin only learned the truth today. His eyes were slightly red. Sister, you have been wronged. You must be wary of those people when you return to the capital. Those people Sujin mentioned were naturally referring to the Zhang family. Zhang Shiyu looked at the young man who was much taller than her. Don't worry, Jin, the prince has sent 2 guards with strong martial arts skills to protect us. If you study hard, you will definitely win the title of Toad Palace in the future. Sunan put Sui down, pulled Zhang Shiyu's sleeve and shook it. Sister, when can I see you and Sui again? I'm not as good at studying as my brother, so I leave the matter of honoring my family to my brother. Can't I go to the capital to find you earlier? You are almost taller than me, and you are so clingy. Study hard and we will meet soon. Zhang Shiyu said and looked at Xiao Jingzhao, only to see Xiao Jingzhao's eyes falling on Sunan's sleeve holding her. Perhaps Xiao Jingzhao realized that his presence here affected their conversation. He knelt down and waved his sleeves, and Sui was pulled into his arms. Seeing Xiao Jingzhao walking towards the dining room next door, Sunan's voice choked with sobs. Sister, we all miss you so much. Sister, if you don't like him, don't force yourself. Nanan and I are your backing. Sujin was very confident in himself. He was among the best among his classmates and there would be no problem in entering an official career in the future. Don't worry, Jin, I won't wrong myself. A sister will find someone she likes to marry in the future. I have you and Nan, no one dares to bully me. Zhang Shiyu's words were purely to comfort them. She didn't want to explain more about the matter between her and Xiao Jingzhao. Even if she is an orphan, she will let anyone who dares bully her have a taste of her new recipe. The 3 of them talked for a while, and it wasn't until Qiuju called them to sit down that they walked to the dining room. The meal was very sumptuous. This was the most sumptuous meal Zhang Shiyu had ever had here.
With Xiao Jingzhao at the same table, Sujin and Sunan were a little cautious. Qiuju helped the two of them lay the dishes. With Sushui as a pistachio, the atmosphere in the room finally relaxed a lot. After the meal, Zhang Shiyu saw off Sujin and Sunan. She said to Xiao Jingzhao, who was about to leave, "I will send you a message back. Both Gao Mu and Kang Yun know the contact point in the capital, so you can rest assured to leave the letter to them." Xiao Jingzhao knelt down and hugged Sushui, then he turned on his horse and drove away with force on his legs. Sushui waved her little hand at his back. The next day, the sky just revealed the white color of fish belly, like a light ink painting. As soon as the early bird got up to look for food, Qiuju got into the carriage with Sushui still sleeping. The city gate opened and two carriages left the city gate one after another. On the tower, a tall figure in black robes stood in the morning light. The high bundle of black hair fluttered in the morning breeze, and the hair was covered with dew. Window. Tabula equals window. Tabula. Tabula.push, mode, thumbs feed -01, container, tabula below article feed, placement, below article feed, target. Type, mix. After being expelled from the palace, she returned with her cub and amazed the whole city. Author, Hanggu. Chapter 67. The morning breeze blows, and the clothes are fluttering. I saw the carriage gradually disappearing, and soon it was submerged in the morning mist. "Master, come back, the young master and Miss Zhang have gone far." Xiang Song looked away and cupped his hands. Xiao Jingzhao suppressed the nostalgia in his eyes and waved his hand, "Go to the military camp." 3 days later, when Nangang Ziyu rushed back, the west wing was already empty. Looking at the empty west wing, Nangang Ziyu turned around and left. "Mr. Nangang, Sushui's father is here," and Su quickly called him. Sui's father. Him, didn't he already die in battle? And Su saw Nangang Ziyu's expression of disbelief, and there was still a hint of disappointment in her eyes. And Su had no choice but to tell the whole story of the incident. This is too ridiculous. Even storytellers dare not tell stories like this. I was kept by my master for a few more days, but when I came back, I had an extra one, the crown prince. And Su said, "Before you were left, the prince sent someone to take the couple to his villa to stay for a few days." What does he mean? Why don't you take Sushui's mother and son back to the Yan'an palace? Is he planning to let Miss Zhang be his concubine? Faced with Nangang Ziyu's series of questions, and Su couldn't answer them. After all, you were left in such a hurry that she didn't even have time to ask her about her future plans. And Su was very pleased to learn that Shui Shen was living a good life in Blackpool Valley. Nangang Ziyu said goodbye to Aunt Su and walked to the street. He patted his forehead in frustration. What a stupid person. I have met Prince Yan'an, but I didn't expect him to be Sushui's father. Now that he recalled that monster's face, he realized that he looked so much like that person. Nangang Ziyu led the horse through the crowded streets. He looked up at the sky and counted the time silently in his heart. Zhang Shiyu was riding in a carriage, and she couldn't run as fast as he could on his own. If nothing unexpected happened, it would only take him 5 days to catch up with her. On this day, Zhang Shiyu and her party left the Yan'an territory. There are fewer and fewer pedestrians on the road, and the fields on both sides of the official road are deserted. The sun was scorching in the sky, the chirping of cicadas was deafening, and the leaves on the roadside were slightly curled. Qiuju moved the ice basin in the carriage towards Sushui, shaking the fan in her hand. On the small couch, with the slightest cool breeze, I slept soundly every year. The corners of his lips occasionally raised, perhaps because he dreamed of playing with his father. Zhang Shiyu glanced outside the window and lowered the curtain. She frowned slightly and said in a low voice, "Looking at this situation, there are many places suffering from severe drought." "Miss, didn't you say that severe droughts are bound to lead to severe floods?" "That's right,
I don't know when the heavy rain will come, Zhang Shuyu said, and took out the map from the secret compartment of the carriage. Qiuju thought the young lady was looking for a shortcut to the capital. At night, Gao Mu and Kang Yun found a clean inn. After dinner, Zhang Shuyu asked Qiuju to call Gao Mu and Kang Yun over. Have you two been to the capital? Zhang Shuyu asked directly. Gao Mu and Kang Yun both raised their hands and said, my subordinate has been here before. Don't worry, young lady. I am very familiar with official ways. Recall, if the road encounters heavy rain or flash floods, which sections of the road are dangerous? This. Gao Mu and Kang Yun looked at each other, and Gao Mu said, if there is a flash flood, landslides often occur in that section of Julianpo, and it will definitely be impossible to get through. Zhang Shuyu searched on the map and found that it would take about 5 days to reach Julianpo. If there are signs of rain when we approach Julianpo, we will take a detour. Do you two know which other way can lead to the capital? Zhang Shuyu said and handed the map to Gao Mu. The river is almost dry, and the capital city is upstream. It is impossible to take the water route. If we take another route, my subordinates are worried that bandits will appear and scare the young master. It's better to continue to Julianpo and change the route depending on the weather. Zhang Shuyu made a decision after weighing the pros and cons. She could hide in space with her son. What if there were many bandits and Gao Mu and Kang Yun couldn't protect the three girls? In the early morning of the 5th day, Zhang Shuyu looked at the sky, and there was not a single cloud in the vast sky. At dusk, 2 carriages came to the official road at the foot of Julian Slope. After riding in a carriage for nearly 10 days, Sui Sui went from being very excited at the beginning to looking relaxed now. Mom, how long will it take until we get to the capital? Sui Sui's butt hurt. Sui Sui's little head rested on Zhang Shuyu's lap, her eyes listless, as if she was about to fall asleep in the next moment. Hearing this, Qiuju quickly stretched out her hand and pinched his short legs. The young master's legs are also sore, aren't they? A pinch will make it much better. Zhang Shuyu caressed her son's face and said softly, Gao Mu said that we can reach the capital in 8 days. After passing this mountain forest, there is a small town about 20 miles further. We can rest there. Zhang Shuyu simply told Sushui fairy tales. Who is this person? Get out of here. Suddenly, the horses neighed, and Gao Mu and Kang Yun roared. The carriage jolted and stopped. A burst of chaotic footsteps sounded. Then a man shouted, the people in the car left money and food, otherwise none of you will be able to pass through here today. Gao Mu snorted coldly and said angrily, come forward and get it if you have the ability. Just listen to the sound of the sword being unsheathed. Qiuju was shocked, a robber. Don't panic, I'll go out and take a look. Zhang Shuyu put on her veil and just lifted the curtain. She saw Gao Mu holding a sword across his chest. A group of people surrounded the carriage. Master, go in quickly, it's dangerous outside. At this time, several ferocious men came forward to grab the reins. Gao Mu flashed, screamed, and a man's palm flew out. Ouch! What are you still standing there for? Hurry up, the boss's hand has been cut off. Seeing that the opponent was not an ordinary businessman, the bandits held their swords and stared at them, but no one rushed forward. Zhang Shuyu looked back at the carriage behind. Kang Yun waved the long sword in his hand and protected the carriage tightly. A bandit shouted, attack the carriage in front, there is a woman in the carriage. In an instant, the swords flashed and the swords collided, making a crisp sound. The long sword in Gao Mu's hand flew up and down, and he swung it violently at the bandits who were besieging him with sword energy. Suddenly, screams came one after another. Just when Gao Mu was guarding the front tightly, a bandit tried to attack from behind the carriage. And, let me go, I'll give the bad guys some goodies. Young master, get down quickly. Sui Sui was not willing to wait for a beating. He quickly dragged his small satchel out from under the small couch. At this time, a hand reached in from the window. Sui Sui stood on the small couch, and he threw out a bag of medicine powder with a force. Almost at the same time, Zhang Shuyu turned her wrist and threw out a handful of medicine powder. This woman has poison in her hand, they are few in number, let's fight them quickly. Whoever captures that woman will belong to her, the bewitching shouts rang out. The injured people in front retreated, and in an instant, more people surrounded them from behind. Zhang Shuyu threw out several handfuls of medicine powder in a row. The people in front covered their mouths and noses, and the crowd behind rushed over again. Zhang Shuyu counted silently in her heart. Just as someone fell to the ground, the sound of hurried horse hooves was heard from behind. After being expelled from the palace, she returned with her cub and amazed the whole city. Author, Hangu. Chapter 68. Don't be afraid, Sui Sui, Uncle Nangong is here. Sui Sui heard Nangong Ziyu's voice and excitedly stuck his head out of the carriage. Uncle, Sui Sui is here, ha ha. Look, they fell. When the little guy saw the bandits fall, he was so excited that he danced with joy, not showing any fear at all. Sui Sui, squat down, the carriage was almost overturned by the bandits. Qiuju had never seen such a scene before, so she was so scared that she reached out and hugged Sui Sui back to her arms. Zhang Shuyu was unsteady on her feet and was almost shaken off the shaft of the carriage. Fortunately, Gao Mu knocked down the bandit who was shouting the loudest in front. He stepped on his feet and did a backflip and fell back on the shaft of the carriage. The carriage stabilized, and the sword in his hand swung, and the cold light flashed, forcing the bandits beside the carriage back several steps. Nangong Ziyu drew his sword and stabbed the bandits behind the carriage. Bandits fell in front, and the bandits behind were bloodthirsty and swarmed up like bees. For a moment, shouts and cries echoed in the valley, birds returning to the forest were startled and flew away, and the air was filled with the smell of blood. Miss Zhang, get in the carriage quickly. A ray of afterglow shone on the delicate figure, as if coated with a layer of golden light. Zhang Shuyu saw that Gao Mu could not let go of his hands and feet to fight in order to protect them. Seeing Nangong Ziyu rushing over, it was like seeing a savior falling from the sky. Zhang Shuyu grabbed the carriage with one hand and shouted to Nangong Ziyu, hurry up and bring the two girls in the carriage behind. Nangong Ziyu gave her a reassuring look, turned over and got off the horse and jumped towards the carriage behind. Kan Yun behind was also like Gao Mu, waving the long sword in his hand, flying left and right in front of the carriage, forcing the bandits to retreat again and again. Lanner and Mayer had never seen such a battle before. The two squatted in the carriage, listening to the sound of swords colliding and screams outside. The two hugged each other tightly and trembled. Lanner, we won't die here, will we? Mayer raised her sleeves to cover her mouth and nose. The strong smell of blood went straight into her nostrils, making her sick. Don't panic. The prince's guards are very skilled in martial arts. They will protect the girl and the young master at the risk of their lives. We will be fine. Lanner comforted Mayer, and her body trembled without stopping. The carriage was almost overturned by the bandits several times. She had made the worst plan. As long as Gao Mu and Kan Yun could protect the girl and the young master, she would die without regrets. Suddenly, the curtain was opened and a pair of big hands reached in. Ah! Don't panic, we are one, follow me to the front carriage. A voice as warm as the spring breeze sounded. The two people who were still in shock raised their heads and saw a fresh and handsome man appear in front of them. The two people didn't have time to think about it and wanted to stand up, but their legs were weak and they didn't obey. When their lives were at stake, Nangong Ziyu didn't care about the difference between men and women. He grabbed one person's arm with one hand and dragged the two out of the carriage. Kan Yun waved the sword in his hand, protecting Nangong Ziyu and sending the two girls to the front carriage. Miss, Master, are you okay? Mayer's voice was crying. It's okay, come in quickly. Zhang Shuyu stretched out her hand to the two people. When Qiuju heard that Nangong Ziyu had come, the fear in her heart was reduced a little. Lanner, Mayor, come in quickly. Kyoja caught the two and pulled them into the carriage. A gust of wind blew in the face. Zhang Xiyu noticed that the wind direction had changed, and she quickly stopped sprinkling the powder. Master, there are hundreds of bandits. Kan Yun and I will fight our way out. You should break out of the siege quickly. Zhang Xiyu also saw that the medicine she sprinkled knocked down at least 100 people, but the bandits behind still rushed out of the woods one after another. At this moment, Zhang Xiyu couldn't help but sweat. There were so many bandits. Even though Gao Mu and Kan Yun were very skilled in martial arts, so many people would be enough to tire them to death. Looking around, Zhang Xiyu found that the fierce people in front were somewhat different from those behind. The people in front had fierce eyes, and they were determined to get what they wanted. The people behind had flickering eyes and fear on their faces. Some of them didn't even have knives in their hands, and hesitated with wooden sticks in their hands. Brothers, don't hesitate. There is more than one woman in the car. Take it back and have fun together, a bearded bandit shouted to the people behind. Suddenly, someone echoed, they have 3 horses. Killing them is enough for everyone to have a good meal. Seeing the bandits showing a greedy look, Kan Yun hurriedly urged, Miss, hurry up. Miss, you come to drive the carriage, I'll guard you by your side. Nanggong Ziyu saw the last ray of afterglow disappear in the sky, and was anxious. At this time, the bearded bandit waved his hand, and a group of people narrowed the encirclement. Zhang Shiyu's eyes were wide open, and she waved her hand and ordered, kill all the evil people in front. This was a life and death moment, and she didn't dare to hesitate. This bloody scene was still seen in the movies in her previous life. It is said that if you are not cruel, you can't stand firm. She can't let the 3 girls fall into the hands of these dirty evil people. Gao Mu and Kan Yun paused, and their bodies instantly rose several feet. The long sword was swung out, and the dazzling cold light shone everywhere. The bandits didn't see clearly how the other party attacked, but only heard screams and blood splashing. More than 10 bandits in front of them had their heads and bodies separated. With Nanggong Ziyu guarding the carriage, there was no worry. The swords in Gao Mu and Kan Yun's hands were like dragons, and their bodies were like lightning. They quickly killed the bandits and made them cry like ghosts and wolves. In an instant, corpses were everywhere, and the remaining bandits left the dazed people behind them and turned around and ran away. Kan Yun was about to chase him, but Gao Mu shouted, "Don't chase him, it's more important to protect the master." Zhang Xiyu turned around and said coldly to the people who were stunned, "Many of you are refugees, right? If you are willing to put down your knives and sticks, I can show you a way to survive. Hero, spare my life." The girl is right, we are all nearby villagers. Everyone dropped their knives and sticks and knelt down to kowtow to Gao Mu and Kan Yun. Seeing that so many people stopped rushing forward, Nanggong Ziyu's heart fell. You are all young and strong, why don't you do something else? Why do you want to associate with mountain bandits? The capital is only a few days away from here. Why don't you go to the city gate and ask the court to open the warehouse to release grain? The voice was crisp and resounding, and those who still had a conscience blushed when they heard it. Yes. They followed the mountain bandits to rob, and they couldn't get any money from the money they got. At most, they could get a bowl of meat. Someone stood up and raised his fist and shouted, "Is there anyone going to the capital to ask the emperor for food? If you are willing to go, follow me." "I want to go. I want to go too." A young man stood up and said, "The bandits still have money and food hidden in the mountain stronghold. Let's go back and divide it up to go to the capital." "Yes. Let's go back quickly. Don't let them divide it up and run away." The words awakened the dreamer. Everyone didn't have time to look at Zhang Shiyu's group for a second, and ran into the woods. In a moment, the shadows of the trees swayed, and a large group of people disappeared without a trace, as if they had never appeared. The corpses lying on the ground reminded everyone that a fierce battle had really taken place here just now. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After being expelled from the palace, she returned with her cub and amazed the whole city. Author, Hangu. Chapter 69. Looking at the scattered villagers, Zhang Shiyu swayed slightly. Girl, get in the car quickly. Nangang Ziyu never took her eyes away from the delicate and tough figure. Seeing her shaking slightly, she quickly went up to hold Zhang Shiyu's arm. Mom, have all the bad guys been scared away? Sushui broke away from Qiuju's arms and rushed towards Zhang Shiyu. Miss, you are so smart. How could you tell at a glance that those people are not all bandits? In the famine years, there are so many bandits, but they are just desperate poor people. Zhang Shiyu hugged her son and sat back in the carriage, feeling lingering fear. If she said she was not afraid, it would be a lie. Lanner and Mayer glanced outside and shrank their necks in fear. Don't look at those damn people, look at your feet. Nangang Ziyu raised her wide sleeves to block their sight, stretched out her hands to help the two girls out of the carriage, and then put them into the carriage behind. Gao Mu sheathed his sword and sat on the shaft of the chariot. The carriage continued to move forward and soon passed through the woods and out of Julian Slope. Tonight, the beasts of Julianpo are destined to have a feast. Nangang Ziyu rode her horse closely behind Zhang Shiyu's carriage. Sushui stuck out his little head from the side of the carriage and said proudly, Uncle Nangang, I wasn't afraid just now. I threw a bag and walked out in 5 steps. Sui is so brave. He is a man. Nangang Ziyu lost no time in praising. I want to protect my mother and Aunt Qiuju. Is he okay, Sheng? Sui changed the topic and asked what he had wanted to ask for a long time. He is very good. He likes Blackpool Valley very much. Many senior brothers take care of him. Master also thinks highly of him and says he is a martial arts wizard. Seeing the dusk getting darker, Gao Mu speeded up. Nangang Ziyu asked Sushui to sit back in the carriage and tell him more about Shui Sheng in the evening. In the carriage, Qiuju fearfully caressed her chest. Miss, we won't encounter bandits again along the way, right? My slave's calves are still trembling. What are you afraid of? Gao Mu and Kang Yun's martial arts are very powerful. If they weren't afraid of bandits jumping on the carriage, they would have killed more than 100 people in that little time. Zhang Shiyu was frightened at the bottom of her heart. After all, the bandits were a ragtag group. If there were people with extraordinary skills among them, it would not be easy for the group to escape. They were delayed by bandits on the way, and it was already past midnight when they arrived at the town. The inns in the town are no better than those in the county town. Although the items in the guest rooms are old, they are kept clean. Gao Mu asked the waiter to send the food upstairs, and he, Kang Yun and Nangang Ziyu ate in the hall. You two are really skilled. I, Nangang Ziyu, am a good friend of Miss Zhang. Nangang Ziyu introduced herself. Young Master Nangang arrived just in time today. This is Miss Jiang's bodyguard Gao Mu. Thanks to your help, the young master and the young master are safe and sound. Gao Mu stood up and cupped his hands towards Nangang Ziyu with a polite and humble tone. My lord, Kang Yun, we will be responsible for the future safety of the girl and the young master. Kang Yun also introduced himself, his eyes lingering on Nangang Ziyu's face for a moment longer. I secretly guessed in my heart that this person is really the girl's friend. The three of them had their own thoughts and went back to their rooms to rest after eating. Nangang Ziyu was thinking about the years, and he wandered outside the door of Zhang Shiyu's room. Just as she was hesitating whether to knock on the door opened and Lanner and Mayer walked out of the room. Zhang Shiyu saw him at a glance and said, Mr. Nangang, come in and have a cup of tea. Nangang Ziyu quickly turned around and saw Zhang Shiyu sitting at the table, and walked in. There's no good tea here, just drink some. Zhang Shiyu picked up a white porcelain cup from the tea tray, poured a cup of tea and handed it to Nangong Ziyu. Is he accustomed to being aquatic there? Nangong Ziyu lifted her robe and sat across from Zhang Shiyu, reaching out to take the teacup. The scenery of Blackpool Valley is beautiful. Shui Sheng likes it very much. Master has accepted him as a close disciple. That's very good. Zhang Shiyu remembered that Nangong Ziyu had said that his master's kung fu was far superior to that of Lin Miao's hands, and it was a blessing for him to be taught martial arts by the Valley Master himself. Nangong Ziyu took a sip from the teacup and turned to look inside. Have you gone to wash up in Sushui? He was sleepy and didn't eat much dinner. I don't know if he was frightened today. Probably not. Sui Sui is different from other children. Nangong Ziyu rubbed the teacup with her slender fingers, looked into Zhang Shiyu's eyes and asked, are those two guards sent by Sushui's father? Yes, they are both very skilled, as you have seen. Zhang Shiyu nodded. You and him? Seeing Nangong Ziyu hesitate to speak, Zhang Shiyu raised her eyebrows and said, he and I have been together for a long time because of someone's scheme. I don't blame him for this. Nangong Ziyu coughed lightly and said, he didn't have an explanation for you. He mentioned taking responsibility, but I declined. He has a distinguished status, and there will definitely be many women in his backyard in the future. I won't have sex with anyone else, Zhang Shiyu said and pointed to the teacup in Gong Ziyu's hand. Just like this teacup, if you drink it and others drink it, will you feel sick? Nangong Ziyu was amused by Zhang Shiyu's straightforward words. Yes, it's disgusting, very disgusting. Nangong Ziyu laughed so hard that he pushed the teacup on the table and decided not to take a sip. The teacup in the inn must have been drunk by others. The more I thought about it, the more I felt sick, and I couldn't even wash it. Zhang Shiyu said seriously, my son will never call anyone else his mother. Nangong Ziyu stopped laughing and analyzed the matter in a matter-of-fact way. Sui Sui's father is the prince, and he will definitely inherit the title of King Yan'an in the future. It is inevitable that he will have 3 wives and 4 concubines. His wife, the princess of Yan'an, will definitely consider the other party's family background and so on. Zhang Shiyu certainly understood the standards of the noble families in choosing their wives. With her current status, she can't enter such a high family, and she doesn't care about entering anyone's high family. Don't think too much, it's the prince who is not blessed. Zhang Shiyu. Does she look like she thinks too much? Thank you for your concern, Mr. Nangong. I don't want to climb the high branch of the Yan'an palace. Her beautiful eyes are slightly curved. The most beautiful love is to be willing to win the heart of one person and stay together until old age. Just this point, Sui Sui's father can't do it. Looking at the beautiful woman, who was charming, like an ignorant girl who was longing for a beautiful love, Nangong Ziyu was dazed and his heart was pounding. Ahem, what? I'm tired after a day of traveling. I need to rest early. Nangong Ziyu felt that if he stayed any longer, his heart would jump out. He quickly got up and left. When he reached the door, his footsteps paused slightly. I live next door to you. Just call me if you need anything. Nangong Ziyu originally lived in another room. He said that Sui Sui would come to his room when he couldn't sleep. Kang Yun had to change rooms with him. Zhang Shiyu was confused. She treated Nangong Ziyu as a good friend. When she came to this point, she wanted to talk to him about her ideals in life. Why did this guy run away? Alas! What a bummer. After being expelled from the palace, she returned with her cub and amazed the whole city. Author, Hanggu. Chapter 70. What Zhang Shiyu didn't know was that she regarded Nangong Ziyu as a good friend, but Nangong Ziyu had a different kind of affection for her. Nangong Ziyu returned to the house, and after a while, her mind slowly cleared up. What are you running for? What a coward! He wanted to slap himself in the face so that the golden opportunity to express his feelings was gone. I'm pretty eloquent on weekdays, but why do I lose my temper at the critical moment? Nangong Ziyu slapped her forehead in frustration. In the next room, Zhang Shiyu heard a pop sound coming from Nangong Ziyu's room. Qiuju settled down and walked out. Zhang Shiyu thought, and a sachet appeared in the palm of her wide sleeve. Qiuju, give this mosquito repellent sachet to Mr. Nangong. There are more mosquitoes here than in Liang City. Qiuju took the sachet with both hands. My slave, go now. Mr. Nangong's skin and tender flesh must not be bitten by mosquitoes. Nangong Ziyu came in time today, and Qiuju was also grateful to Nangong Ziyu. The conversation between Zhang Shiyu and Qiuju reached Nangong Ziyu's ears word for word. Early the next morning, Qiuju looked specifically at Nangong Ziyu's face. Very good, the style is still the same, the elegant appearance has no traces of being visited by mosquitoes. Perhaps God was angry, but until Zhang Shiyu and her party arrived in the capital, they never saw any rain along the way. The capital city is still singing and dancing, and the people outside the city are complaining. The people here seem to be living in another world. Seeing the familiar streets bustling with traffic, the pedestrians on the road are dressed in fine clothes, there are many shops, bustling and noisy, and luxurious horse-drawn carriages dot the streets and alleys. The melodious music of the piano floated out from the brothel tavern, and the sound of singing was mixed with bursts of wanton laughter. Everything is so familiar, yet feels unprecedentedly strange. I have been attracted by the bustling scene of the capital every year. The shops on both sides of the street are filled with a dazzling array of items, and a pair of phoenix eyes shine brightly every year. Mom, I like it here. Can you send a letter to Dad and ask him to come to the capital? Zhang Shiyu held her forehead, like father, like son, they all like places full of power. Nangong Ziyu walked parallel to the carriage. He pointed to a tall restaurant and said, Uncle will take you to Juxian Pavilion for dinner someday. The signature dishes there are excellent. Sui Sui showed a bright smile, and most of his body was almost sticking out of the window. The carriage happened to pass by Yakuai building at this time, and saw two strings of red lanterns hanging straight down from the third floor, which was very spectacular. It was dusk at this time, and a waiter was about to light a lantern. Sushui couldn't take his eyes away from the festive lanterns. He said in a sweet voice, Uncle Nangong, look at how beautiful those lanterns are. Can you take me to play here some other time? Puff. Qiuju couldn't hold it back and burst into laughter. Ahem. Nangong Ziyu glanced at Yakulu, with a look of discomfort flashing across her face, and turned to Sushui and said, that lantern is not very beautiful. My uncle will buy you many more beautiful lanterns someday. Zhang Shiyu. Qiuju saw Zhang Shiyu's eyes falling on Sushui's butt, and she quickly hugged Sushui. Young Master Sushui, be good, you can't go there. Look at the woman at the door. Her little mouth is so red that she looks like she drank human blood. It's so scary. With Uncle Nangong by my side, I'm not afraid of anyone. Nangong Ziyu. I don't know if it's too late to start practicing hard from tomorrow. Zhang Shiyu asked Nangong Ziyu to lead the way directly to Huajianzuin. Huajianzuin is not the largest in the capital, and its location is not the best, but the environment there is quiet and suitable for staying for a few days. I have just returned to the capital. Buying a house cannot be done in a day or two. It is possible to stay in an inn for 10.5 months. To go to Huajianzuin, the street in front of Jiangfu is the only way to pass. When the carriage passed by, Qiuju whispered, Miss, Zhang Mansion has arrived. Zhang Shiyu didn't even raise her eyelids, and said calmly, it has nothing to do with me, so I don't mind looking at it. Qiuju quickly lowered her head and said, this servant is being abrupt. From now on, let's take a detour and keep out of sight. That's not necessary. From the moment I left the Zhang family, I cleared the Zhang family from my heart. I have let it go, so you don't have to take it to heart, Zhang Shiyu said softly, not blaming Qiu at all. The meaning of chrysanthemum. Her hatred was hidden deep in her heart. Zhang Jiao and Yang, I will repay you little by little for the suffering you have given this body. When we arrived at Huajianzhu, the lanterns were already on. Qiuju followed Zhang Shiyu's instructions and asked for an independent courtyard. Nangang Ziyu walked into the courtyard and her eyes lit up. I never expected there to be such a unique inn in the capital. The courtyard is not big, and the east and west wings are just enough for men and women to live separately. This place is different from ordinary inns. Once the front courtyard door is closed, this is an independent courtyard. It is quiet and elegant, and will not be disturbed by people coming and going in the inn. Gao Mu and Kang Yun called for dinner, and the waiter from the inn delivered it to the courtyard. After the meal, Nangang Ziyu washed up, changed into a set of clean clothes and came to Zhang Shiyu. You've had a hard time on the road. You and Sushui should take a rest early. I'll go see where my uncle lives. Lin Miaoxiao never sent a message back, and Nangang Ziyu didn't know if he was with his disciples in Blackpool Valley. In order to find Lin Miaoxiao, the master of Blackpool Valley ordered his disciples to open a medicine shop in the capital. Nangang Ziyu went to the medicine shop and asked about it. Go early and come back early. When you see Uncle Lin, invite him to have tea in the courtyard tomorrow. After Nangang Ziyu left, Zhang Shiyu washed up and sat at the table, taking out the plan and reading it again and again. With Kyoju and Lannermei taking care of Sui Sui, Zhang Shiyu calmed down and thought about things. The first step of the plan is to buy a house. Most officials in the capital live in the east. She remembered that Zhendig Xiushi lived in the south after resigning from office. She didn't know if he moved in the past few years. Seeing Gao Mu walking in the courtyard, she wrote down the location of Zhendig Xiushi's house and gave it to him. Tomorrow you go to check if King Yunzai is still there. If Zhenfu is also there, you can go to Fangyazi to see if there is a larger courtyard in the south. King Yunzai is a study opened by the Zhen family, and the owner behind it is undoubtedly Zhendig Xiushi. King Yunzai is different from other study rooms. It not only sells the 4 treasures of the study, but also has a place for scholars to sit down and read books and communicate. Some scholars were short of money, so they wrote calligraphy and paintings and stored them in their study to sell. There was a wall in the study for scholars to hang calligraphy and paintings for display. Every time a good work was hung, it would soon be circulated among scholars and even caused a sensation in the capital. Official ladies and literati also frequently visited King Yunzai. Some went to look for calligraphy, while others went to meet talented people by chance, each taking what they needed. Details reveal a person's character. Scholars respected the true university scholar from the bottom of their hearts. Gao Mu took the order and left. In less than an hour, Nangang Ziyu appeared in front of Zhang Shiyu with a worried face. Miss Zhang, my uncle, he has entered the palace. He has inherited his father's business and has become an imperial physician again. No, he has entered the purification room. He was purified.